Do you believe that the farmers are winning against the European Commission, or that they're just being played by the European Commission? I mean, I live here and I just went to Brussels and it was quiet there, man. It was quiet. Apparently that gigantic demonstration by the farmers against the European Union, it was one day. It was just one day and then everybody went home. That was it. And I see all these pictures of tractors rolling by in Belgium and in Italy and in Poland and all over the place. But when you're actually there, nothing much is going on. Nothing much is going on. Yes, there are farmers here and there who are blocking highways, who are protesting for a day or two. And then they go home because they also have a business at home that they need to take care of. They have the farm to take care of. So how much protest is that really? How much inconvenience is really being created for people that they feel this? Because I don't really see it and I don't really feel it. And I don't think the EU also really feels it. No. I mean, have you noticed that how people are celebrating that the EU has apparently caved for the farmers? But then nobody's actually paying attention to apparently how they have caved to the farmers and the concessions that they've made to the farmers, which are ridiculous. Because what is the concession that the EU has made to the farmers and to the protesters? Is that they are allowed to use more pesticides. That is the big concession that the EU has made to the farmers, that they're allowed to use more pesticides. That's not really a concession, because the EU, the European Commission especially, already wanted people to use more pesticides. They just renewed the authorization for Roundup in Europe, which is horrible American poison, carcinogen. But they renewed that shit, even though lots of people were against that. But they did it anyway. Why? Because the European Commission is actually for pesticides and for GMO and for artificial food and all that shit, all that poison. So they didn't really cave to the farmers. Not really. Not if you actually read what's being said and what's being done and what's being promised. And the only other promise they've made so far is that the EU has promised that they won't push vegetarianism and veganism on people so much, and that they're not going to say that you should eat less meat and more vegetables, which, by the way, is also, you have to think about this. Meat comes from farms, but vegetables also come from farms, yes? So what's the difference actually here? But on the other hand, though, this is a promise that they can make now, and then in a month they can say, well, actually, people should actually eat less meat and more vegetables. So those are the big concessions that the EU has apparently done to the farmers. And then people are saying that, whoa, it's wonderful. How the farmers are revolting against the EU, and how the EU is in trouble. Apparently the EU is not in trouble because nobody seems to actually give a damn. Not really, not in reality. Ordinary people who are being affected by this shit, by what the EU is doing, they don't seem to be revolting. No, they don't seem to be saying no to the EU. All the stuff that you see on social media, all of it, it's just made up. It's taken out of context and enlarged to make it look like a gigantic revolt that's not actually there. Yes, there are people protesting, and good for them. Kudos for them, at least they're doing something. Well, nobody else is. But they're just here and there. And then somebody there making a video of it and posting it online and making it look as if the entire continent is fighting back and saying no. But that's not true. Most people are not actually saying no. And that's sad, because most people should say no. Because if you know what this is about, it's about farmers, in this case, being dispossessed of their land and their businesses. It's the government saying there should be fewer farmers, that there should be less food production, and that's why farms should be closed and farmers should be disowned and disappropriated, and farms should actually be destroyed. That's what this is about. It's about our food production being systematically destroyed by our own government. It's about our own government saying that, we need less farmers, we need to shrink our food production, which is strategically insane, because food production is important because people need to eat. That's what that's all about. It's not about the right to use more pesticides. That's not why the farmers went out there. The farmers went out there because they were afraid for the future of their businesses and their families, not whether they want to eat more meat or less meat, and not whether they're allowed to use more or fewer pesticides on their vegetables. No. See, this is how they play you. This is how the media plays you. This is how the EU plays you. This is how the EU plays you, and it is our job as Europeans to say no to the EU and stand up to that shit, because they are a bunch of liars. They are corrupt liars who are just doing it for their own bank accounts. And that's all. So don't believe everything you see on the internet and on social media. Don't think there's this gigantic, massive uprising going on against the EU, because there ain't. It's all a lie. What you need to do is rise up yourself. Say no yourself. Ask questions yourself. Don't think that somebody else is going to do it for you, because nobody else was going to do it for you. But you as a person have to do it yourself. Have to ask questions yourself. Have to say no yourself. Complain yourself. Start writing letters to politicians yourself. Start writing letters to the European Parliament yourself. Start writing letters to the European Commission yourself. Start writing letters to your own government yourself. Start writing letters to City Hall, and call people and say no and ask questions yourself, because this shit will never ever end until every European, or at least the vast majority, openly says no, we're just not going to do it. We're just not going to listen to your government nonsense. And until that happens, nothing that you see on social media will make a scrap of difference. Nothing. It's sad, but it's true. So, what are you going to do? What are you now going to do?